Hi everyone, I hope you all are doing well and all of you are safe and healthy. This is Radhika here again, and this video is going to be about um, topics that make the narcissist uncomfortable. So, some of these topics are generic, and some of them you might have to see according to whoever you're talking to, like the particular narcissistic person that you're talking to. But there are some here that are pretty generic, and I will also try to discuss why the narcissists are so triggered by this topic, or why it would make a narcissistic person so uncomfortable when they discuss these topics. So let's start with the first one. So the first topic is if you talk about death to them, they become extremely uncomfortable. So just try this out if you have like a narcissistic person in your um, in your vicinity, in your surrounding. You can talk about death to them and see how they react. So usually narcissists are not comfortable with death because um, they are all about their ego, right? And ego wants to survive. Ego wants to exist. Ego wants to shine. It wants to be appreciated, adored, etc. So that's what we say, like narcissists have an over inflamed ego or overly attached to their sense of self. Um, One of the reasons is because they do not think deeply, or they haven't thought about things deeply, or they just kind of avoid thinking about things deeply. So, if a person has thought deeply about life, about death, about the sustenance of life, they will realize that death is an inevitable part of life, and ultimately, all of us have to die one way or the other, one time or the other. But a narcissistic person has not really thought about death because all they think about is existing, doing, surviving, thriving. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I'm saying it's very imbalanced if you only think about that. If you want to develop like a well rounded personality, or if you want to kind of elevate yourself beyond the fear of death, you do have to contemplate on death and kind of think about what is death, what will happen after you're gone, how much of an importance do you really have, how important is your existence in life. So when you think about all these philosophical things, you become extremely okay with the concept of death, dying, etc. And you will not feel uncomfortable talking about this. But if you talk to a narcissist about this, a part of them really pushes away this topic because they don't want to die. They are so attached to living that they really don't want to die, and which is for all of us really. But you will see, like, the more um, like philosophical, or the more a person has thought about things, they have accepted death as a part of life, which the narcissist unfortunately has not. So yeah, death is a topic that makes them really uncomfortable. Another thing related to death is diseases. So if you talk a lot about diseases, you will see the narcissists getting really uncomfortable. A lot of them have hypochondriac tendencies. So if you talk about diseases a lot, they will start feeling like icky, or they will start feeling that I can't listen to this any longer, etc. So yeah, diseases is the second thing. Third thing is, if you talk about world suffering, like how the earth is suffering, or how nature is suffering, or how people in general are suffering. A lot of narcissists don't want to talk about this. Firstly, because they think it's a waste of time when you discuss someone else's suffering other than their own. If they are like the victim mentality narcissist, if they are not the victim mentality, if they're very entitled narcissists, they will feel like this is a waste of my time. Like they will just feel like, what do I do about it? They don't have, because they lack empathy even in their personal relationships. Imagine this is like on a world scale, you're talking about human suffering. They are really going to be like totally detached from this topic of discussion. And you will see them getting really uncomfortable, impatient, and wanting to kind of get out of the conversation as soon as you get into it. Then the next thing is that makes a narcissist uncomfortable when you're talking to them is if you genuinely praise someone else. So, say you're like in a team with a narcissistic person at your workplace, and someone else did like a bug fix or something like that, some work in your office which was really good, and you thought like, oh, that's a really nice solution they have come up with, or they gave a really nice presentation, something like that, which has to be genuine, and you praise the other person in front of the narcissist, they will become really uncomfortable, and a part of them will get extremely jealous of this other person. Then the next point is philosophy. Again, narcissists are not interested in the big picture. They are not interested in understanding humans or human suffering or how we have evolved as humans, human history, etc. So when you talk about these topics, they're going to be really bored. They will be like, oh, why do you have to be so intellectual, and why do you have to go so deep into things? It's so like you're just pretending to be smart. So they will have all of these comebacks and comments for you. And a lot of times it is because their own thinking is not very deep, it is very surface level. So when you discuss very deep things with them, uh, a part of them loses interest very quickly, and the other part of them is kind of like, why are they acting better than me? Whereas you might not be, you might just want to have like an intellectually stimulating conversation with them, but they will take it on their ego because basically they cannot participate in the conversation. So that's the next point. And then the last point is, this is not common for everyone, but it will have to be dependent on like the narcissistic person you are dealing with. But whatever is their forte in life, so if it's a narcissistic housewife who's very like attached to her house, her image, her cooking skills, etc., if you criticize something in her house or in her cooking, she's going to be extremely uncomfortable with it, to a point where she might actually get aggressive and kind of retaliate back to you. um, because it is something very close to her ego. So she has formed her ego over that. Or if it's a doctor who's, like very, who thinks of themselves like a god or something, and they have a big god complex, and if you criticize them for their work ethic or for their bedside manners or for a wrong decision that they make, they will get extremely triggered by that, because their whole ego is based around that image that they have of themselves and that they want to project onto the world, because they believe it gives them some sort of a value or worth to live in the world. So that was this video. I hope this helps you in some way. As always, I wish you all a lot of love and a lot of light. Thank you. Bye.